So that girl I met on eHarmony.
Yeah.
We're out to dinner last night, and like a klutz, I tipped my drink all over myself.
Oh, no.
And it's all down my shirt, a horrible stain, so embarrassing. And you'll never guess.
What?
She smiles, picks up her drink, spills it all over her top. So now we're...
No way.
Amazing, right?
At eHarmony, you'll find someone you can be yourself with. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up for eHarmony today. So that guy I met on eHarmony, yeah, we're out together last night and I step off a curb and snap, heel breaks right off my shoe.
Oh no.
So I say, hell with it, take them off so I'm barefoot, and you'll never guess.
What?
He leans over, takes off his shoes and socks, and now we're both...
You're joking.
Amazing, right?
At eHarmony, you'll find someone you can be yourself with. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up for eHarmony today.
You know that everything is energy, that energy is neither created nor destroyed, and that energy is your most valuable resource, the very thing that keeps you alive. But what is your energetic state, and how can you use it, change it, heal it, and work with it to create the future that you want? You're listening to the Health Courage Collective podcast, episode 168. Your energetic state affects how you age, with Margaret Solorio. Welcome to the Health Courage Collective podcast, the show for women who are too busy to slog through hours of generalized, inapplicable, and often contradictory health information, but too smart to ignore that a few minutes of focused attention now can prevent years of suffering in the future. I'm your host, Christina Hackett, a pharmacist who doesn't want you to live on prescriptions, a certified coach specifically trained to maximize your potential, and a compulsive learner obsessed with preventative, cutting-edge, holistic, and integrative medicine. I'm on a mission to increase your physical and mental resilience so you can fearlessly look forward to your next 40-plus limitless years. Your time is now. Let's go. Hello, my friend, and welcome to this week's episode. I'm so happy to spend a few minutes with you today. You are so awesome for being here. How is your play life? Did you think of some ways to add more play into your daily life? Are you remembering to work with your unique play personality to make sure that you're a more fulfilled human being? Today, we have a special episode with an awesome guest who is an energy healer, spiritual teacher, certified angel Reiki master, author, podcast host, and founder of Delicious Ease. Her name is Margaret Solorio, and she is a wonderful human being. Margaret helps spiritual seekers connect with their higher self, clear, dense energy, and tap into spiritual support so that they can become manifesting queens who make a positive impact on the world while living in abundance and with delicious ease. Who wouldn't want that? So let's get into my conversation with Margaret. All right. Hi, Margaret. Thanks so much for being here today.
Yes, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here. This is going to be fun for me because I know next to nothing about it. So I love to get to learn new things. So this is fun. So I'm pretty clueless in general about like what energy healing is and energy work and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just wondering if you could tell us kind of a brief synopsis, I guess, of what that even means.
Yeah. Energy healing is activating, supporting, or unblocking the body's own subtle energy field. So to facilitate that healing and well-being. So it's a form of spiritual alchemy. Everything is energy. I think it helps to start back there. So we are energy. We're spirits having a human experience that, I mean, if you look at the scientists' work down to that cellular atomic level, the atoms in the cell are vibrating, right? So everything has that energy. And since it vibrates, it moves. And different things vibrate at different frequencies. And spirit, spirit's my preferred word right now for God, source, universe, all that is. Fill in the blank for your favorite word. Spirit's energy is the highest vibration. So when we work in energy healing, we tune to that higher vibration. We help raise our own vibration and allow those lower vibrations to change, transmute to something higher, and to dissipate the lower. What else can I say? So, I mean, we know from science too, again, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can just change. So it moves through us, and emotions are energy in motion. So I think that helps too, to understand it. So we're taking stuck emotions or feelings or memories and helping those release so they don't turn inward on the body, but can be released out and allow that energy to flow through you.
Mm,
That makes sense.
okay.
So I technically don't, any healer doesn't technically do the healing. You
Right.
heal you. So
Right.
we help support and facilitate and create that channel maybe to open up to that. Oh, it's almost like acting like the tuning fork. I tune to the higher vibration of spirit, and then in the session allow for you to tune to that higher vibration and heal yourself.
Interesting. Okay. So I assume some people have a harder time than others with being able to understand that they're stuck in the lower vibration and how to
Yeah.
get to a higher vibration.
Yes. Sometimes we just haven't learned the tools to do it for ourselves.
Right.
Sometimes something maybe is, I know for me, there are a lot of things maybe that happened in the past that I've tucked away and haven't dealt with or haven't been brave enough to deal with that are under so many layers that I don't even recognize them anymore. So when I work with a healer, then the spirit always meets you wherever you are when you need it. It's the coolest thing. So you're not going to like flush out everything all at once in one go, right?
Okay.
So if you're working through something or you're ready to address something, that's what will come up. And when you work with a healer, often there's that opportunity to have that reflection so that you can see it in yourself, because you might just have gotten used to it, if you've tucked it in and it's
Mm-hmm.
not obvious it's something for you to work on. It's kind of a paradigm you're living with and working with. You might not realize, oh, wait, that's not actually who I want to be or what I want to be or what I want to do. Sometimes it is obvious you have something that's uncomfortable or you feel kind of stuck or you have a decision to make and you can't hear your own intuition and you don't know which way to go.
Okay.
Sometimes the stuck is obvious.
Yeah. Super interesting. So yeah, I always think like energy is all important too, but I think of it as like, you know, the electron transport chain and mitochondria and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, it's all related.
But yeah, it's super interesting to think about like tuning your vibration to a different vibration that's more like a source vibration or whatever, however your
Exactly.
terminology is.
Yeah, there are tools you can use to do that. So, like meditation is a tool to do that.
Mm,
By meditating, we calm everything down and we help raise our vibrations and get to that inner peace. But really, once it's a skill, so once you do it a lot, you can tune in. And once you know what that feels like in your body, that high vibration,
mm,
you can tune in more easily without the like sacred space and the music and the right position, all those tools we use to kind of get into this calm zone.
okay.
Crystals are another thing people use. Crystals or gems do not change their vibration. They each have their own vibration, the different stones. So you could place that on your skin or wear it as jewelry or carry it around in your pocket. And that'll help you also raise your vibration because it holds like a tuning fork and you can meet it,
Mm, interesting.
the
Yeah.
cells. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sorry.
You're great.
Another thing, analogy, this one's actually from Abraham Hicks, but it always helps me is to think of our spirit, our energy as a cork floating in water, almost like floating in the stream of wellness or well-being, and that we often hold ourselves down. So all we need to do is really let go and release, and that cork naturally floats up. So it's
Mm,
not that we're thinking of like something broken that needs to be fixed and propped up. It's more that energy healing is this release that if you can let go, your body and your cells naturally, I mean, your cells know what to do, right? They are naturally in that high vibrational state and moving along their business.
yeah. I love that idea of you don't need to be fixed. You just
Yeah.
maybe there's some things that you need to let go of and you're already who you need to be kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like, I mean, I feel like that's a lot of the personal growth and health. I was going to say industry, but it's more like the journey for yourself where you're realizing, like you almost tune back to that because you're the same spirit from the time you were born till you die. Well, actually, spirit is longer, but that's beside the point for this conversation. The point being, like our physical form changes, but we are the same. We take those lessons with us. We learn it a little bit here, we learn a bit there. So unpeeling some of those things that we've taken on emotionally that aren't really who we are, but served us maybe for survival mode in a certain situation or, different things helps you get back to, yeah, who you are.
Yeah, I love that. So if you're thinking of yourself like having goals for the future and that kind of thing, how would you use spiritual or energy work to create a future that you want?
I think with energy work, so energy is timeless. One of my favorite examples of that is like if you start describing a lemon and think about how juicy it is and sour and acidic, my mouth starts to salivate and I can feel the sour in my jaw. So describing something or describing a baseball, having your open palm and imagining the weight of it there in your hand, you could feel it. So this energy is not tied to reality or your time now. So I think in that vein, learning to live in the present moment and not kind of wait and in our previous conversation for my podcast, we talked about like worrying about the future and having this expectation of that's what old looks like. But if for old is now, like this is the time you have, and learning to enjoy and savor that present moment, I think finding our inner peace and connecting to our intuition, knowing who we are and what's best for us by listening to us and checking in with yourself first before checking in with everybody else. And I think that ties a lot with the work you do in terms of learning your body, right?
Mhm.
This is about learning your mind, your body, and your soul. So learning your energy and how to maintain your own energy and paying attention and caring about how you feel now,
Mm.
that brings that calmness that helps for me live now well or live then well, because how we experience the time is really what matters, right? If something was good or bad, it's how we felt during. Do we feel good when it was happening or afterwards? So how caring about how you feel, caring about your energy, I think is the answer to that. And so
Yeah,
these tools help you make that choice.
that's awesome. Okay. So one thing I know you've mentioned is that you're skillful at helping people to heal dense energy pockets. So what is a dense energy pocket and how would you know if you had one?
This also comes back to feelings. So for me as a healer, when I'm doing an individual session and doing a body scan, um, that's how it feels in general to me. The energy that is stuck feels denser and the energy that is moving feels more light and airy. It's
Mm.
definitely kind of a general description because everyone's different. Sometimes when I'm working with somebody, like it'll come across as like stormy and clear skies. Like I'll get more of a visual than a feeling.
Mm.
But I think if you're looking within yourself and learning how your energy flows, it's that feeling of stuck. For me, it's frustration.
Okay.
If I feel really frustrated with something and I'm trying to push it or push my kids to do something and I recognize before I've gotten too far that feeling, then I go, oh, okay, here's this ball of energy, this stress, this stuck, this not flowing, feeling good, going with it vibe. Like I'm not trusting, I'm trying to control everything. That's how it feels for me. But
Mm.
it feels a little bit different for each of us in our own bodies. So starting to spend time by yourself or spend a little time in silence and getting to know and feel comfortable with that internal dialogue and just you with your energy can bring to light how it will feel for you. That makes
Mm.
sense. But it's
Yeah.
the stuck. Yeah.
Okay. So feeling like the energy's not flowing or something. Like
Yeah.
there's some
And
way of
sometimes
knowing
exercise
that.
is a great way to get it moving.
Mm.
Like, if you do feel stuck and you go for a walk or you go out in nature or you're creative or in some capacity, that movement can get literally the energy moving in your body and release new things and things start to flow the way they weren't before. That can
Yeah.
help.
Yeah. That's a great tip is just go move your body, walk around, do something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I started. I must have looked like a mad person, but I went on our deck and I just did circles and I imagined like creating this positive vortex. And I was like, something's got to change. I'm going to change it. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to start moving. Something's
Yeah.
got to move.
That's awesome. Any other clues or signs that your energy is off? Is it mostly like emotions that you notice?
I think so. So since emotions are energy in motion, that's kind of your first clue. again, this is kind of that layered thing where once you get used to the concept and once you start working with your own energy, you can recognize it more quickly and it doesn't become so deep-seated. But sometimes if you've had something that you've tucked away for a while and then that's working its way out, it'll look different. So when I first, not to scare anybody, but when I first like really went into it and I was like, okay, I'm open to release. I had a fairly traumatic childhood, so I had a lot to give up, and I'm sure I still do. But I actually broke out in hives for 5 months as the stuff like worked up to the top. It was almost like it literally bubbled up.
Wow.
And the doctors couldn't figure out what to do. They just gave me a bunch of steroids. And then once I kind of had gone through that release, it all went away. It was fine. But I knew because I was being brave and dealing with emotions that I hadn't in a long time, that was part of that release. So it can show up physically. But I think it's just, I think in our society, we're taught often not to feel, or that is not to be part of the equation, when in actuality, how we all feel is really what it's all about in the end. So it's kind of really counter living. So if you can make it part of the conversation, even if it's just part of the conversation in your own head, and say, hey, wait a second, I do care about how I feel, one, and two, I can choose how I feel, right? I remember yesterday, actually, my husband had a friend visiting, so we went the whole family packed in the truck, and we went for a sightseeing tour. And we went to the ocean, which is a good drive away from us. And then afterwards, he's like, oh, I really want to stop at the redwoods and show that too. It's like, well, the redwoods are amazing. But I was dressed, we were all, one kid was totally soaked. The other, like, it just seemed like a bad idea to me. And it was pushing everything. And I could feel myself get so anxious. And I was like, well, wait a second. You have an opportunity here to see these huge, like thousands of year old trees that you don't usually get to see. Is that really the attitude you're going to bring to it? Or are you just going to go for a nice walk and enjoy it and then figure out the rest later? So I was able to recognize my emotion was not what I wanted and was getting stuck, and then recognize that I had a choice and choose differently and care about enjoying the experience, which of course, me not being grumpy made it better for everybody else too.
Right.
And I got to commune with the trees. I, touched one, and I had sandals on. So I took my sandals off and I stood there in the bare earth for a minute. And I was like, this is just so magical. It's so quiet. There are so many trees. So it was a really fun experience. So yeah, you have a choice.
Yeah, that's a beautiful example of, I like how Arthur Brooks teaches that emotions are like a tap on the shoulder, that there's something to be paid attention to, but you don't have to like get lost in them or feel like they're a problem or whatever.
Oh, that's fantastic. Exactly. So in one way I've learned about this is we all have obviously spirit inside of us, but our higher selves, or spirit or God, however you want to say that, on the other side, right? There's this connection, and the way that spirit speaks to us or communicates to us is through energy, is through emotions. So exactly right. Your emotions are signals. And the signal is, are you in tune with who you really are? If you're feeling bad, you're not in tune. If you're feeling good, you're like, oh yeah, this is who I want to be. Like, you are in tune. So you're right. They're not meant to harm you or scare you or trap you or anything. They are literally signals for you to look at and decipher and understand and use to your benefit.
Yeah, awesome. Are there any, so I'm all about preventative health for physical health. Are there any preventative health type things that would help you maintain a higher energy level throughout your lifetime?
I would say finding a daily practice to tune in is probably the best. Whether you choose 5 minutes at the end of the day to read, that's really calming for me, or to journal, or to take your cup of tea and sit outside and just not talk for 5 minutes, like something that or straight up meditate and put the tonal music on and close your eyes. Whatever works for you, go for a walk. But if you make a daily habit of connecting in with who you are, you slow that time, you bring yourself into the present moment, you feel that connection to spirit and all that is. I'm sure there are a million scientific things that I don't have in front of you, but about lowering your blood pressure and everything that calms you down
Yeah.
and helps you physically be better. But that inner peace, that getting to carry, not flipping so far on either end, like the example I gave about me being able to choose my emotions yesterday on our mini family road trip. If you had asked me to do that 5 years ago, I would not have been capable of that. I would have gotten really upset, made everybody had a terrible day, and then it would have taken me weeks to get over it. Like it was these extremes of stress responses and release that took a toll on my body and everybody else. That was these extremes that I had to constantly bump back and forth between. But being able to regulate myself and manage my own energy, I think I have no doubt now that I feel like I will live longer, or if I do, I will enjoy it more because I know I have that choice. I have that ability and power to manage my emotions and enjoy. And I think that's the point.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're less likely to slip into those bad energy patterns if you have this little practice
Yeah,
every day
you're
that
less
you
like
do.
you're able to recognize them. I think I used to just not be able to recognize them and not know what to do about it. So you now have tools to help you manage those so you don't slip down so far. You know that they are there to benefit you. You have a more positive mindset. And then and all of those things are another way of saying that is you've raised your vibration. Your general vibration has raised for your day to day. And the world around you is a reflection of your vibration. So, another thing that used to really set me off is like being emotionally triggered. Like if somebody does something and it sets you off and you feel like you're explaining yourself right away and you just kind of get set off right away. That used to ruin me for months. And now, like you said, I understand it as a signal. One, hey, there's something that needs to be looked at that you didn't realize was part of who you are and how you're operating right now. And two, it's a reflection of something in you. So like it's reflecting back. Like the person's not necessarily trying to be mean. I don't have to attack them back. Like it's not this. I have a choice not to participate in the argument and a choice to say, hey, what in me resonates with what they said? Because that's not how I feel about myself. So there's something off here. I can look at that.
Yeah. Oh, that's really powerful. Yeah, that's awesome. I was just going to ask something and I forgot what it was now. But I was just thinking, so if you have this daily practice that's kind of just to maintain your energy, are there any certain practices you can think of for people that do have like physical health challenges that would help with their energy?
Yeah. Well, there are different, I wanted to say there are different types of energy healing. So if you'll see there are many different, each healer themselves has a different modality. So mine combines the Reiki energy healing and mediumship, getting messages from angels and your spirit team on the other side. But there are medical intuitives. So when spirit uses a medium or a healer as a channel, they can work with the information we have. Like anything I've learned is like fair game for language for communicating, right? When I'm working with spirit. But there are medical intuitives who are more trained in anatomy who can help get insights on maybe like if there is something physically not well or dis-ease and you're kind of feeling stuck on where to help yourself next or get help, they can help get that insight that can lead to the next thing. So sometimes it's that. And I did also want to say energy healing doesn't take the place of what you do, of physical doctors, of mental doctors. That's absolutely number one, to take care of yourself. But this is kind of rounding it out, since we have our body, mind, and soul allows us to then also work with the energy component that links them.
Yeah. So your podcast is called Delicious Ease, which is like the best name ever.
Yay!
I think everybody wants more delicious ease in their life. So I was wondering, what does delicious ease mean to you?
This is so good because I hope your listeners will know you were on my podcast as well. The episode comes out soon. And this is what I ask all of my guests. So I appreciate having the table turned. I would say a couple of things. What comes to mind is I chose delicious because I love food and I love eating and I love a wonderful meal. And some of the happiest times in my life most satisfied moments were after a wonderful meal. And that meal called me to savor and become present in the moment and like not worry about anything else, not think about anything else, connect with others, have good conversations, have good, like wholesome earth food. So that magic, I like that bringing to the present moment. And that kind of opens the door for me for ease, going, it's like a reminder, like, oh yeah, it doesn't have to be so complicated. I have all these things to do and I have all these expectations and all these things society tells me the way it's supposed to look. And I pile all that on, but a good simple meal with great company is just, that's the best.
Yeah.
So if something you can delicious and savor, and that opens the door for going, right, why don't I go with it? And this can be easy. It can flow. I can live with that delicious ease. So yeah, that's what I'm always taking, that kind of moment and expanding it to the whole day is what I aim for.
Wow.
For me and everybody else.
Yeah, that's awesome. What could be better than a delicious day? So I think, getting to your 80s and 90s in great health takes a lot of hard work, and I hope that it can also be delicious along the way too. But for people who are like goal driven and really trying to do hard things, what practices would you recommend to help them put more ease into that like grind of doing all the things?
Yeah, really good question. And it makes me actually want to go befriend some 80 and 90-year-olds because I don't know that I know anybody in my regular life, and there's much wisdom there. I would say what I said before in terms of finding a way to connect with yourself, with spirit once a day, whether that's meditation or putting on music in the bathroom when you get ready so it's more of a dance party and not a chore, or going for that walk, or sitting outside in nature with your cup of tea or coffee, whatever feels good, painting for 10 minutes, and you keep the supplies in a drawer in the kitchen so they're easy to access. Whatever it works for you, making that choice easy for yourself and choosing to do it each day. I think that reconnection, there's nothing better. That's your time to tune in and tune up, so to speak. So if you can start the day that way, I try to make sure I do it when I get up, before I start thinking about all the millions of things I'm supposed to do today, that can really help set the tone. So I still advocate for that. I think appreciation is awesome. I think a lot of us talk about gratitude and things, but it really helps change your mindset. It's been a tool I've used over and over again. And even if you just, say thank you to yourself, or say thank you out loud, or say thank you to spirit, or say thank you for things that seem silly, like, I don't know, I say thank you for my house that I'm in. It's the nicest house I've ever lived in my life right now. So I say thank you for that pretty regularly. And it just changes the lens, the perspective with which you kind of then look at everything else. And so that can be really powerful. And it doesn't, with all the habits, they don't have to be such a prescription of sit down at the end of the day and write down 20 things. I mean, if that works for you right now, I sometimes do. I pretend I'm writing a letter to spirit and I say thank you for the things that I enjoyed during the day. And that usually starts a bit of a rampage, and I go, oh, look how much I have to be grateful for. This is good.
Yeah.
But even if you're just kind of noticing the little things and saying, thank you. And then the third thing I thought of when I saw this question was to create kind of a feel-good menu. So we talked a lot about managing your own energy, and that energy feels different for each of us. But that in turn means you kind of need your own strategy to manage your own energy. So I call it a menu. But if you start a list, you could just post it somewhere, and then when something else comes up, you can add to it, of activities that help you raise your vibration. So things you really enjoy doing, whether it's going for a walk, or taking a bath, or treating yourself to a nice tea and sitting in a coffee shop and just enjoying that vibe. Whatever it is that floats your boat, we're all different. Making a list of those, because often when you don't feel well, you feel lower vibrationally, you feel those little bit negative emotions. You don't want to think, you just know you're in a funk, or you just know you're not happy. And so if you have this menu and you see it and you go, okay, I just pick one thing, spend a few minutes on myself, knowing that investment of time is worth a billion
Mhm.
minutes, because if you feel better, everything else will flow. If you feel better, you'll get those intuition hits that'll help you make better choices for yourself. If you feel better, that'll be what's reflected back to you from the world around you, and the people who will be nicer to, all those kind of things fit in that ease.
Yeah.
So if you recognizing your own emotion, having an easy way to raise your vibration and keep going, I think that's helpful too.
Yeah, that's super helpful. I love that idea. Like when you said about the painting, like use something that makes it easy to do the
Yes.
thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
having a menu, I never even thought about that. That's such a great idea of
Yeah, you
being
can pick and
like,
choose.
"Ugh, I feel blah. I don't want to have to come up with an idea of something.
Right.
I
Yeah.
just have to go play the piano." Like,
Yeah, yay. Oh,
yeah.
piano's fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. Did I miss anything that you wanted to share, but I forgot to ask you?
No, I don't think you did. I just really appreciated this opportunity, and I think it's such a fun mix of all the physical work and advocacy and inspiration that you do, and kind of seeing how that energy piece fits in with it. Because
Mhm.
we are in charge of these physical bodies. There's so much we need to do to take care of that. But recognizing, I think just bringing it into the conversation, I appreciate that. Because like I said, a lot of times emotions and energetic health, we feel it. We don't feel energized, or we feel bad, but we don't know where to put that in context,
Right.
or remember that a little dose of feeling better really ripples out a wonderful effect.
Yeah, totally. For you and for everyone else that you take care of. So,
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it.
yeah, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you and all of your knowledge and being able to bring this in so that we can learn from you. So, I really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you.
Where could people go to learn more from you and about you?
Yeah, thank you. The best place is my website. It's deliciousease.com. And I actually just created a guided 20-minute ideal day meditation.
Hmm.
So that allows you it helps you visualize kind of your future self reality, where you want to go, and place an energetic anchor there so that you're energetically tied to that, to where you want to head, and it helps you energetic align. So that's free for download, deliciousEase.com/ideal. You can start there. And then from there, there's lots more. I do a free monthly meditation mastermind, where I do a guided meditation once a month. You can join that. I do group healings once a month. I do individual healings. And I just started a community called Manifest More. So I love energy healing and what it does and helps us clear out and allows us to be. But for me, that next step was then to talk about manifesting and how to wield and use that energy to more consciously get what we want. So we explore that in the membership.
Yeah, awesome. Perfect. So, yeah, people who are new to meditation, that's like the perfect thing. They can get your free download and start from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much for being here today. After our conversation, I made a menu of things that I can do to shift my energetic state. I actually made 2 menus. One of things I can do that take 5 minutes or less, and one of things I can do but they take longer. I think it's such a great tip because it takes most of the resistance out of getting into action to do something to change your energy. It's easy to wallow in your low vibration energy or get stuck doing something completely counterproductive, like mindlessly scrolling. But when you have that low energy menu, you can easily get out of that state pretty quickly. I've always known that soaking in the bathtub while reading a great book shifts my energy, and it feels like delicious ease, but I don't always have a free, uninterrupted hour to do that. Now, I don't have to think about it. I can just look at my menu and use my massage gun for 90 seconds, go pet my bunny, do my exfoliating, moisturizing hand scrub treatment thing that I got at a farmer's market once, or anything else on my short menu. It's awesome. For more great tips from Kay Margaret, go to her website, www.deliciousEase.com. I have a link in the show notes. You can sign up for her free 20-minute ideal day meditation that she mentioned. She also has a free monthly meditation mastermind, which is pretty cool, and a great weekly podcast called Delicious Ease. So check that out for sure. Next week, we're going to talk about foods that confuse your brain so your body isn't quite sure what to do with them. Until then, harness the power of your energy to live your life with delicious ease, and don't be normal. Thank you so much for tuning into the Health Courage Collective podcast. I am truly honored that you have paid me the enormous compliment of your time and attention. I would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with someone you know and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only. Statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Christina Hackett and producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse events by use of information contained herein. If you think you have a medical problem,